welcome back to the program.
I'm glad to welcome Sam Sorbo.
It's great to have you here.
All right, welcome to the Sam Sorbo Show here on Locals, and where we talk about education. We focus on homeschooling and the various options that are now open to homeschoolers. And I want to welcome my guest, Mitchel Earl, who comes to us from Praxis. He's the CEO of Praxis, and they are very busy encouraging children to drop out of college, even offering them $1,000 to drop out. Now, do you have to be enrolled in college in order to drop out then?
No, not technically. That's right, Sam. We are, putting a bold offer out there for students who are either dissatisfied in college or know that they don't want to go next fall or next spring semester, giving them the opportunity to do something different. Students who drop out of college or decide not to enroll in the spring and do Praxis instead. So apply to our program, are accepted, choose to do our program. We'll pay them $1,000. They can use that money however they want. They can put it towards our tuition, but we wanted to create an added incentive. If that was the nudge a student's looking for to make a decision to do something different, if they're not having a good time in college, we'd love to work with them and help them get on a path to something that's more fulfilling and exciting than just sitting in the classroom for the next few years bored.
So let's talk about this for a minute, because a lot of parents are going to give you some pushback, like, oh, they're not enjoying it. Like, is that really the reason to drop out of college? And so let's talk about that. You know, our culture tells us you got a college prep and career readiness. That's the key to success, is college prep and career readiness. Make the money or get the job, get the career and all that. And you're sort of pushing back on that. You're saying you ought to be happy pursuing your degree.
Yeah, and I'm no stranger to the idea that sometimes the things you want most in life, they require effort. They require doing hard things to get where you want, and that's certainly not what I'm pushing back against. But for most young adults, and I've seen this for a better part of the past decade now, hundreds and hundreds of young adults on a regular basis enrolled in college. It's not just that they're bored and they're not enjoying it, but they do not see how it is leading to something better in their lives. If we look at data outside of just students' experiential journey through college, if you look at the data on outcomes, we're seeing absolutely startling outcomes for recent graduates, many who are underemployed even a decade after graduating. And the average student walking out with $40,000 of student debt, those early signs of not enjoying it, they turn out to be really, really good warning signals for a lot of students that not only am I not enjoying this, but I do not feel like it is leading to the better life, the better career outcomes, the American dream that I hoped was waiting on the other side. And what everybody told me this entire time that I was growing up, everyone told me this is what would be waiting on the other side. And that's just not happening for most students.
That's fascinating. I didn't know they even had those studies done. And so what is Praxis? What is Praxis offering these kids that the parent, because I know I love the program, that's why you're here, but I want parents to hear from you. What is it that you're offering that actually beats college?
Yeah, that's a great question. And we're not trying to reinvent college. We're doing something totally different. This is not about coming to us and getting a rubber stamp or a credential. This is about teaching you how to create value in a variety of contexts. It's teaching students how to navigate the career landscape. It's helping them identify their career interests and map them onto career paths. It's working with them one-on-one in a mentor capacity to help them set goals, develop a plan to achieve those goals, and actually execute those goals. And we do that with students. We do that with students year round. We have 4 cohorts per year. Every student works one-on-one with a career mentor. They also go through the program with a group of peers. We vet all of our students. So we are looking for students who have high character. They have strong work ethics. They are intellectually curious. So not only is the program different, the outcome is different than college, but also the peer group. I hear this from students all the time as well, that they're in the classroom, they feel like they're surrounded by people who don't even want to be there in the first place, but feel like they have to. That is a totally different environment than what students can expect in our program. They are surrounded by students who they don't want to be at Praxis just because they think it's beneficial. They want to be there because they are totally serious about taking ownership over their lives and their career journeys, and they see Praxis as a conduit to doing that on a quicker time frame, on a more affordable through a more affordable conduit as well. So they're surrounded by peers who are making them better.
Right. And so give me some examples of the career paths that you're offering for these kids.
Yeah, fantastic. So most of our students have some type of entrepreneurial or creative inclination in the first place. They know that they either want to start a business someday or they want to be involved in the world of business. That tends to be the sweet spot for our students. They don't have to want to start a business immediately, but they tend to have some interest in wanting to be valuable in the marketplace. So a lot of our students, their early career experiences take the form of roles like sales, marketing, business operations, even customer support. They see those as career entry points. Many of our students, they go and get several years of great work experience, and then they use that as a building block towards their longer term goals. Many of our alumni, we've been doing this over a decade now. We've got alumni who are, they're in their 30s now. They've gone and they've started those businesses. They used those first early career experiences and not going to college. So those years that they could have spent in classroom, instead they were getting awesome work experience, building valuable skills that help put them on a track towards their longer term goals on a more reasonable time frame as well.
Hi there, I'm Sam Sorbo. I want to introduce you to Mud Hen Mama, the underground bookstore for those seeking to empower themselves with truth and biblical virtues. Love for the Lord, family, faith, and country is what drives this mission. Mud Hen Mama offers a carefully curated selection of quality books for all ages, including classics and historical fiction. Protect your family with books that align with your values, and use code SAM and get 10% off at mudhenmama.com. That's mudhenmama.com. Let's raise a generation of children who love and seek the truth. So you're not just offering, basically, somebody could listen to this and go, well, they're just like an employment agency. They're just finding a job for a young person who doesn't want to go to college. But what I'm hearing is that the kids who go through this program end up either starting their own businesses or figuring out a different path through life. They're not just becoming employees. Am I right?
That's correct. And I'll be honest, many of our students, they start as employees, but the types of jobs that they pursue often they're the types of jobs that they wouldn't even consider possible before our program. And for a variety of reasons, some they may not even know jobs exist out there. I can't tell you how many of our students have gone and started a job working in tech sales, for instance. In high school, they didn't even know that was a career path. But in their early 20s, they're making six figures. They did it without student debt. They did it in a short time frame. And if you're in your early 20s without student debt, you're making six figures and you are enjoying your career, in many senses, you've already won the game that everyone told you had to play by a different set of rules. And so that's what really gets me fired up. It's not just about the skills. It's not just about the mentorship and the job outcomes. It's really about helping put students in a position to have more ownership and agency over their lives and careers. That's what really matters to me most about what we're doing.
Yeah, I will tell you, I used to say to people, do you need to have a high school diploma to attend college? And of course, the answer was yes. And I said, no, you don't. And they look at me flabbergasted. And I said, you don't even have to graduate college to go to medical school. In fact, think about it. If you pass the MCATs with any sizable score, like a good score,
Yep.
and you didn't go to college, you're probably pretty interesting for most medical schools, right?
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
so that sort of gets them to start a little bit the thinking outside of the box. Why do you suppose people think so much inside the box? Why do you suppose that's the default for most? I think it's for most people. Do you think I'm wrong?
No, I think it is most people's default understanding of the way the world works. And, I don't want to finger wag and tell parents they're wrong by any means, because most parents, most parents, even of younger generations, they grew up in a totally different landscape. It wasn't really until the mid 90s where we started to see some of the drastic changes happen in the higher education landscape. We saw massively subsidized federal student lending come out, and the byproduct of that is that tuition began to skyrocket. We also saw starting wages for employees begin to stagnate over the past 30 years. So what was happening pre-90s, a lot of parents, the ticket to a great career with great earnings and that statistic everybody likes to throw around. If you go to college, you get a degree, you're going to have more than $1 million of lifetime earnings than somebody who doesn't get a degree. That used to be true, but the rules of the game have changed. The landscape has changed. More and more students now are walking out not only with much more significant student loan debt than what used to be true, but the starting wages do not justify the expense. Now we're seeing data come out today now that's saying that average 22-year-old graduates college with $45,000 of student debt. They spend the next 22 years of their life paying off that same student debt. So they have to spend basically the same amount of time it took them to get to the other side of college to pay off that student loan debt burden. And that's not a good outcome, especially for a student who doesn't have high conviction about what they want to do. Walking out into the real world without a ton of context, a ton of experience, and a massive balloon of debt over your head, that's a really bad spot to be in when you're still trying to figure it out. You don't have a ton of options. You feel like you have to just go take any job. You don't really have the luxury of chasing your passion anymore. You have to get to work. And what ends up happening if you play that out over the next 10 years is you see a lot of people who have midlife crises realizing they are trapped in a life that is not fulfilling. It's not what they envisioned for themselves when they first made that decision to go to college.
Yeah, they were bamboozled, and they wake up to it. And you gotta wonder, if you're inheriting 22 years of debt payments and for sort of a nebulous goal, because most children go to college because it's the next thing to do. They're not going to college because they have their eye on the prize and they know exactly where they're headed. And so, here's the thing. Let's be clear. If a child is like, I'm definitely going to do whatever, I'm going to be a doctor, I want to do research in neurosurgery, I know exactly the hospital that I want to work at. Like if you've got a child who is driven to that degree, and they can map out a path through school that will get them there, that's something entirely different. That's not what we're talking about here. We're not talking about derailing an education that is driven by a goal. What we're talking about is the majority of young people who go to college because it's the next thing to do. They don't know what they're really studying for. They're not happy studying because, let's face it, the institutions make us hate learning. I mean, they really, this is a homeschool, podcast basically. So that's what we're talking about here. And so this is just a wonderful opportunity for parents to start to consider that maybe the goal for my child is not college prep and career readiness. Maybe the goal for my child is being a well-rounded individual with a happy life. Imagine that, right? This is the goal that I have for my child. I want my child to be happy. I want my child to pursue truth and beauty, and right. And so when you take the foot off the gas, that is, say, the machine's engine, the engine of the school, you take the foot off the gas. You go, wait a minute, maybe the school is driving me to the wrong destination. Praxis offers a very practical application of real life for your child. And it's not coddling the child. It's really just helping the child try different things or try the thing. Maybe they know the thing, but maybe they don't. Maybe it's trying different things because you've got different cohorts and you've got different opportunities. And it's almost a counseling, right? Would you say it's a little bit of a counseling system for the kids to support them in their discovery of what their options might be?
That's definitely a big part of it. Many students, especially those who go through traditional government schools, they don't come out of school with a ton of context about what is even out there in the real world. They have a very, very limited worldview in terms of the possibilities. And that's one of the things that I think is such a disservice to our the next generation is they
Yeah.
don't even know what's possible. They're told this is the next step and here's what it's going to cost. And it's the priceless investment. You're going to be a loser if you don't do it. You need to do it. There's a ton of
Yeah.
social pressure to make this decision as well. And so even those students who they're well-meaning and ambitious and they think, hey, I want to go to college, but I don't really know what I want to accomplish. College is really the wrong tool to help them conduct that discovery process and explore
That's
what
great.
path that they want. It
Right.
is a tool that's much better, much more inclined to be, useful if you have a clear objective. I know I want to become an accountant. I know I want to become a mechanical engineer. There
Right.
is a path through college to achieve that type, or at least to prepare to achieve that type of outcome. But
Right.
for the student who's they don't even have to be aimless, but for the student who just really isn't sure, college will still be there. The intense pressure to go make that decision immediately without a clear destination in mind, that
Yes.
is the thing that I specifically want to attack.
Yeah.
Don't go if you don't have a specific outcome in mind. It's not a good enough reason just to want to go make friends and hang out for 4 years.
To spend that
That's
much
a
money,
very
right?
costly decision.
Yeah, very costly. Mitchel Earl is the CEO of Praxis. We're going to take a break here. And then after the break, I'm going to talk to him about, first of all, a personal story that will add to this conversation. And I want to get into some nitty gritty details of what Praxis has offered in the past. We'll cover a couple of stories that he has brought to us. So if you want to hear more, you got to go behind the paywall on Locals. We'll be right back.